What's going on, guys? Aaron here. Welcome to the video. So a quick market update for today. Bitcoin has roared back over $100,000. A lot of altcoins have seen some pretty big days, but there's still quite a lot of volatility, meaning coins that were up 10% a few days ago are now down 5, 8, 9%. So in this video, I want to talk about a couple things. One being just an overall kind of general thesis of taking profits for this cycle, depending on if it's a small cap, medium cap, or large cap coin, because I think this cycle is going to be a little different than previous cycles in terms of how people should be looking at the different sectors. So I'll touch on that in just a moment. But what I want to start out right here, Benjamin Cowan on X, Twitter, said Bitcoin's next move probably comes after the unemployment data on Friday. My guess is if the unemployment rate is 4.2% or less, Bitcoin continues higher. 4.3, Bitcoin chops around. 4.4% or greater, Bitcoin gets a correction. So right here, this is what he's talking about. January 10th, Friday, we get the next release of the unemployment situation. So the current unemployment rate is around 4.2%. So if we see unemployment go a lot higher, that could lead towards fears of a recession, and then people get spooked out, and then risk assets like Bitcoin, like the entire crypto market, and even like stocks will correct. But I want to talk about this really quick. So this is the US dollar index, basically how strong the dollar is compared to other currencies. Now we can see we are hitting almost a 2-year high, or we actually have hit a 2-year high. It was at its highest the end of 2022, which ironically was the bottom of the crypto bear market, right? So there is a correlation there. So Trump is getting into office and he wants to see a roaring stock market and crypto market, right? Not only is he personally invested in crypto, his sons are invested in crypto. His entire cabinet basically is invested in Bitcoin and crypto, and a strong dollar usually correlates to a weak crypto market and also a weak stock market. In 2017, he said that the dollar was too strong, and the dollar suddenly dropped after he said that the dollar was getting too strong. So my guess is Trump will try to weaken the dollar in order to pump up the equity markets and also crypto. And right here, this is just the S&P 500 index. And I just want to overlay this with Bitcoin. And there is still a very, very strong correlation. So sometimes people are like, why is Bitcoin going up? Well, it's because the stock market's going up. Now, eventually people will realize that Bitcoin is the only scarce asset on the planet, and there's an unlimited amount of fiat dollars chasing this finite scarce asset, right? Eventually, it will decouple from the stock market. But even recently, over the last couple weeks or so, we saw a pretty strong correlation. When Bitcoin goes up, the stock market goes up. When we saw a drop in the stock market, this big red candle right here for the day, we saw a massive drop for Bitcoin all the way down from like 105 to 92, right? And then recently, the last couple days, the stock market has gone up and the price of Bitcoin has gone up. And this is Bitcoin overlaid with the NASDAQ, and there's an even stronger correlation here. So ultimately, Bitcoin, until this point, is still following the greater US stock market. So there's a lot of factors at play here, and I think that, again, Trump will do everything in his power to make markets go up. This guy, again, hates to lose. Whether you like him or hate him, he hates to lose. He is insanely competitive, right? So anything that will help the markets, he will do. Even if he's making decisions that long term may not be a great idea, he will still do whatever needs to be done now in order to boost the equities and also the crypto market. So again, right here, this is Bitcoin versus the NASDAQ. Very, very tightly correlated. So we will see what happens there. So before I talk a little bit about profit taking, which I'll talk a lot more about it here on YouTube and also in my private Discord community if you want to get access to that below, I first just want to talk about Howard Lutnick in a recent interview with Anthony Pompliano. Now, he is going to be the U.S. Secretary of Commerce. I asked Grok, what powers does he hold? And essentially, he's the principal advisor to the president on matters related to commerce and economic growth. And he has a lot of other powers as well. I mean, he can really impact the entire market. So let me just play just a couple seconds of what he said here to Anthony Pompliano.
No, I can't say, because then people can figure out no, how much I have. I would say I have hundreds of millions of dollars.
Okay.
Hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars exposure to Bitcoin.
Okay, what? Right? I have hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars exposure to Bitcoin, and this guy is going to be the principal advisor to the president on matters related to commerce and economic growth, guys. Economic growth, okay? I hope this makes sense, and I'm sorry for putting on my rocket pants to the moon, rocket pants to Mars, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I mean, this is pretty bullish.
And it will be billions.
I was going to say, so next year when you come back and we'll do this again and you'll be a Bitcoin billionaire.
Every time Bitcoin dips, I'm going to be the buyer.
What? Every time Bitcoin dips, I'm going to be the buyer? So the interview goes on and on, but that's really what I wanted to talk about, which if that doesn't excite you, then I'm not sure what will at this point. Anyway, let me talk a little bit about the differences between this cycle and the last two cycles. So what I think is really important for you guys to realize is that narratives are going to be moving very quickly in this cycle. So in my last video, I talked about AI, and I personally think that artificial intelligence is going to stay around for this entire crypto cycle, unless we say go into like a global or macro economic recession, right? Obviously anything can happen. But if things go as normal, if Trump boosts the US economy, and if everything goes as planned, I think AI is going to stay here. But when it comes to these very small coins, if there is a huge pump, there can be a really vicious retracement, right? Like we're seeing a lot of coins, including Reploy, which I talked about in my last video, and other ones that have been really pumped by a lot of people. They're down 10% in a day, right? They can move very quickly. Virtuals has been coming down a lot from its all-time high of $5 down to $3.87. And there's a lot of people that were buying at the peak there. So I think when it comes to these really small coins, I think you need to be more aggressive on taking profits, because the ups will be faster and more aggressive, but also the corrections will also be very aggressive. And when we see different sectors or different categories pump, I think it would be smart to take profits when you see a massive pump. So taking a look at some of these categories, right now meme coins is up 21%. In a week, it may be down 20%. So if your meme coin doubled, I think for these smaller coins and these smaller sectors, there are so many altcoins, there are so many new projects being launched. I think it makes a lot more sense to take some profits, at least take your initial investment out, so you're not as emotional if something retraces or goes down 30-40%, or if Bitcoin has its normal 20 to 30% dips in a bull market. Altcoins are going to be dipping a lot too. It makes a lot more sense just to take some profits off the table quicker. But for myself and for a lot of you guys, I think we have a lot of conviction in these larger coins. So Bitcoin, probably by 2030, it's going to be $1 million in my opinion. Ethereum, XRP, Solana, a lot of these large layer ones, I think can be held for longer if you believe in them. So ADA, a lot of you guys like that. Avalanche, Sui, Chainlink is going to be around for a while as well. XLM actually has some tech behind it, right? Hedera, a lot of these coins, I'm just kind of picking off random ones. Some of these coins you may not want to just be taking profits every single time they pump, because they will probably be around, at least in my opinion, not all of them, but a lot of them will be around for the next 4 to 7 to 10 years. So I'm just giving you a brief kind of overview of what I'm thinking about recently. You want to know what coins you want to be aggressively taking profits on, at least taking out your initial investment, and what coins you're fine riding some of these 20 to 30% dips possibly going down because you believe in them long term. and even coins that if we go into another really ruthless bear market like we saw in 2022, you won't be freaked out and you won't want to panic sell when it's down 80%, right? Now, obviously, I believe 2025, this year is going to be a great year, but anything can happen, right? So the coins that you really, really believe in, you want to kind of put those in a separate category than the coins that are pumping because AI is really hot right now, or specifically AI agents are really hot right now. So I'll be talking a lot more about this in my private community and also here on YouTube. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, but it's just good for you to think about that. It's good for you to think about what coins are just getting pumped and what coins are you going to be holding for the long term, and just knowing the difference between the two. And the reason I say that is because a lot of these coins being launched are absolute vaporware, right? Like they don't really have substance to them. So holding a coin that doesn't have real substance and is just like a hype coin is not a good idea to hold long term. And you always want to be taking profits on the way up, knowing you're never going to hit the top, than waiting and not taking any profits because you're wanting to hit some magical number where you're going to sell 100% of your tokens. At least that's what I do. I take profits as things go up, and I know that I'm not going to hit the top, and I know that I'm going to leave profits on the table, but I'd rather leave profits on the table than not take any profits at all. And how do I know this? Because I've been around for a while and I've made that mistake many, many, many times, guys. So that is it for the video. Before I go, if you want to get some sweet deposit bonus from BTCC, you can go ahead and use my link to do so. I've been using BTCC a lot more and it's awesome. It's really, really cool to trade with BTCC or on this platform. If you want to play with leverage, you can. I definitely do not suggest leverage unless you are a professional trader and you know how to use it and you know the risks here, but it's there if you want it. Again, I don't recommend that to somebody new. You can also use a demo account here on BTCC and basically just practice how to use leverage or playing with futures, or you can just use spot and just stay with spot. Also, if you're still keeping all of your money on an exchange, I would recommend exploring hardware wallets. Ledger has been around for a very, very long time. I really don't think these two are required. I think you can be fine with a Ledger Nano X, unless you really wanted some fancy touchscreen with wireless charging, which again, I think $400 is a little excessive. Nonetheless, we have Trezor Safe 5. Trezor has been around for such a long time. So we got the Trezor Safe 5. With the full touchscreen, the 3 with 2 buttons, and then if you want to go super old school, you can get the Model 1, but I would actually just get the Safe 3 because it is more secure than the Model 1 at this point. So either one of these would be awesome. And if you are getting a hardware wallet, you definitely want to get something like the capsule here, the Billfold, or the Zeus tag, something where you are storing your seed phrase in metal. You don't just want this on your computer. Well, you definitely don't want it on your computer. You don't want it on a piece of paper either. So definitely pick up one of these if you are getting a hardware wallet, or if you don't already have one, you can get it from the Ledger shop or the Trezor shop. So that's it for the video, guys. Short and sweet. Hope you're doing well. Till next time, talk with you soon, and bye for now.